All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope y'all are having a good day so far. So, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I got asked in the member section to actually go ahead and do this. So here we are. This is a reaction to a video from Synthetic Sports, and this is titled Wade versus Harden, who is better? So yeah, like if you watched the Jerry West video from the other night, then I was saying like basically what my view is on this, and I thought it was really weird that I'm hearing this conversation. And from what I understood, it was a conversation of who's the third best shooting guard of all time, and my vote was Jerry West. So I was like, I'm probably not going to react to anything about this because, you know, if that's the topic, then that's already my decision, my answer. But if this is just a straight off 1 versus 1, like who's better, Dwyane Wade versus James Harden, this is even simpler to me. So I'll go ahead and get my opinion out of the way. It's Dwyane Wade all day. Why? James Harden played one side of the ball. Dwyane Wade is one of the best defensive shooting guards of all time. And he's also one of the best offensive shooting guards of all time. Winner. Also, one guy named Dwyane Wade has 3 championships. The other guy named James Harden has 0. What else is there to think about? Nothing for me, but it's going to be interesting to see if what people are debating as far as James Harden goes, and I'll just call it out as I see it. So maybe that's why I was asked to react to this. We'll see, because I have intentionally not been getting into this topic because I just I kind of rolled my eyes at it, like, oh, people are bored, you know, they got nothing else to talk about, so they're going to talk about this. Anyways, let's get into it, you guys. This request came from the member section. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm curious anyway, so let's just do it. Let's rip off the bandage. The link to the original video from Synthetic is going to be down below in the description, like always. And you'll see a list of channel members. Appreciate you guys. I say let's get right into this. Like the vid if you could. It's probably going to be a long one. So grab a drink, grab a snack, all that good stuff. And let's see what all this is about. What's all this then?
As NBA fans, we love to compare guys that are playing in the league right now, guys that shared the same era, guys that played in completely different eras. But
hold on. Yeah, but like, I don't like this comparison either. This one drives me crazy. I like comparing apples and apples, not apples and oranges. And like this one, this whole debate, I could settle this with 1 sentence, maybe 2 sentences. The greatest facilitating pass first point guard of all time, Magic Johnson. The greatest shooting point guard of all time, Steph Curry. Everyone's right.
eras. But today we're going to compare guys that, you know, at least partially played in the same era. 2 of the best shooting guards of all time, Dwyane Wade and James Harden.
Is James Harden considered a shooting guard? I usually see him play point guard.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussions over the past year between Wade and Harden. You know, Harden's got the longevity, he's got an MVP. Wade, meanwhile, he's got the rings and he's got a finals MVP. So let's break it down.
Guys, am I tripping? Why is James Harden a shooting guard all of a sudden? When did this happen? When did this happen? I see him in Philly, he's a shooting guard. In OKC, he was the backup. I see him in Philly, he's a point guard. Saw him in the Clippers, he's a point guard. I see him as a point guard now. I saw him in OKC, he was a backup point guard. That's why he wasn't a starter, because he was the backup point guard, and Russ was the starting point guard. Why didn't he just play shooting guard then? Am I tripping?
Before we start talking about who is better, Wade or Harden, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos.
Guys, do me a favor. I already gave you my vote going in. Who do you think's better? Just put it in there. Forget the shooting guard thing. Oh, I mean, also comment on that. Let me know. But who's your vote? And then we'll go through this video, and then we'll do the vote again at the end. So just say, like, starting out the video, voting, blah, blah, blah. If you could. I'm just curious. I'm very, very curious.
For a few years, there's been a discussion, who's the third best shooting guard of all time?
Here we go.
Because essentially everyone, at least with a brain, agrees the two best are Mike and Kobe. But after that, the conversation becomes a bit more open. You might have some old heads saying Blazers legend Clyde Drexler.
Exactly.
Allen Iverson's up there. You got George Gervin, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, and Vince Carter. But recently, it's become basically a two-person discussion between Dwyane Wade and James Harden.
Yeah, thanks Pat Bev for bringing this discussion back into the, the limelight and the, NBA Twitter and whatnot. Just setting up.
I mean, if we're allowed to put a point guard in this position, then I vote Steph Curry over James Harden.
Firestorm by just basically backing his former teammate.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we're just so used to him saying some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime he says anything, there's going to be a reaction. So we're going to break down the careers of each.
So wait, we're all doing this because of Rage Bait? Because Pat Bev needed a couple clicks on his channel? Shit. Oh, man. We're in bad shape in 2026.
Obviously, Harden's still active, so things could change down the road, but we'll break down at least his career thus far, all of Wade's career. We'll talk about accolades, the strengths, the weaknesses of each player.
The position that they actually played.
At the end, give our pick for who's the third best shooting guard in NBA history.
But first, this video is presented by PrizePicks.
Yeah, speaking of Houston, you guys want to tell me he was playing shooting guard in Houston? He had the ball in his hand all game, every game.
PrizePicks is America's #1 sports pick app and is the best place to play daily fantasy sports. It's super simple. All you do is pick a lineup of a couple of players and simply pick more or less on one of their stats. Last week we did all right, got 2 out of 3, but missed out because Anthony Edwards just wasn't himself against Philadelphia. In hindsight, probably not the best idea to pick the guy who was questionable before the game even started because he was sick apparently, and because he was just coming off missing a bunch of games with knee soreness. In hindsight, I probably should have just seen that one coming. Well, that won't get me again, and this time we're going with a lineup that you can basically just nickname Manifesting a Win Over the Nuggets. I mean, y'all have seen how tight the play-in race is. Come on, we need this win right here. Plus, I mean, Jokic just played, 44 minutes 2 days ago against Wemby, so I'm hoping he's, a step slow in the glass. Just a little tired tonight, So if you like building daily fantasy lineups, head to prizepicks.com and use the code HMA or the link in the description for $50 in lineups when you play just $5, and only play if you are able to do it responsibly and have the means to do so. Once again, that's code HMA or use the link in the description.
All right, here we go.
First off, we'll start with Wade. He was a part of the famous 2003 draft class that featured other legends like LeBron, Melo, Chris Bosh, and Darko Milicic, of course. Went 5th overall to Miami, and, nowadays Miami is considered, one of the best franchises in the NBA, which is impressive considering how young they are. But back then, they had only been around for 15 years, and yes, they had some success in the late 90s, early 2000s under Pat Riley, won 61 games, went to the conference finals in 97, had 3 other 50-plus win seasons led by Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway, but by the 2003 season, they had won just 25 games. Hardaway was gone at that point. Zoe was nearing the end of his career and actually missed the entire 2003 season due to a kidney disease.
Yeah.
And finally, Pat Riley stepped.
I'm glad he's alive, man, because, I heard some stories, and wow. I'm just glad he stopped playing when he's played, because it looked like it was going to be bad. It was going to be bad if he didn't get this taken care of.
Down as head coach with Stan Van Gundy taking his place. Immediately, though, Wade looked like a potential franchise player. I mean, he averaged a little over 16 points, 4.5 assists, and 4 rebounds his rookie year. Finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting behind Melo and LeBron. And even after starting the season just 5-15, the Heat, led by Wade, completely turned things around, went 37-25 the rest of the year, finished 42-40, got the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. I mean, that might make you the play-in tournament in the West this year. So, early 2000s Eastern Conference.
This was the Eastern Conference, yeah. That was that era.
Very bad.
And weirdly enough, in the Eastern Conference first round, they were taking on the New Orleans Hornets. Now, that's because the Hornets had recently moved from Charlotte, so they were still in the East at the time. And Wade in his first ever playoffs was great. I mean, literally his first playoff game, he put up 21 points and had a game winner. That's an insane playoff debut.
Yeah, this was his breakout. This is where everyone started paying attention to this dude.
Overall averages 15.5 points, 5.5 assists, and 4 rebounds in round 1 as the Heat took out the Hornets in 6 games. And in round 2, honestly, he played even better against a elite 2004 Pacers defense. He put up 21 points on 49% shooting. The Heat do fall in 6 games, but an incredible rookie season for Wade, and he quickly elevates himself into one of the best players in the NBA after that, and the Heat basically immediately became contenders again. Now, it definitely helped that they acquired Shaq in the summer of 04.
I would say so.
Wasn't just Wade there. Shaq was still one of the best players in the NBA, finished second in MVP voting in 2005, and a race a lot of people, including Shaq, think he should have won still to this day.
Well, of course Shaq thinks he should have won it.
Right. But Wade also, in year 2, became a 24 point per game scorer, averaged nearly 7 assists per game, and on top of that was already one of the best defenders in the league, finished second team All-NBA and second team All-Defense in his second season. The Heat win 59 games with the addition of Shaq, get the first seed, they sweep the Nets in round 1 and the Wizards in round 2.
And I'm willing to bet, and we'll find out, I'm sure. I don't think James Harden's ever made it to any all-team defense. Like, I don't think he did it once. So, again, strange conversation we're having here.
Wade going off each series, especially that Wizards series, he averaged 31 points, but you fall to the Pistons in 7 games in the conference finals. Wade and Shaq were both okay that series against that stacked Pistons defense. But on to year 3, though, just incredible stuff from Wade. One of the best playoff runs you'll ever see, especially for a guy in his 3rd year. Once again, the regular season, he was great, all-star, finished All-NBA second team, but in the playoffs, he raised his game to another level, especially the finals. Averaged an absurd nearly 35 points a night
in 2006.
Yes, almost 8 rebounds, and led the Heat to their first ever championship. I know,
you guys remember when James Harden put the team on his back and it won Finals MVP against all odds? Remember that happening? Neither do I.
Fans get pissed off about all the free throws he took.
And to be fair,
guys, I think one thing we can agree on, though, is even take away the free throws, what Wade was doing in the finals was incredible. Even if they would have lost the series, like that for a 3rd-year player was just impressive as all hell in my mind. Like I said, even if they would have lost, I would have walked away from that series going, this guy is a killer. He will not say die, you know? And I'm sorry, that's the opposite of what we've seen from Harden in the playoffs.
If we were Mavericks fans, we'd be pissed too.
We'd still be pissed to this day.
But we're not Mavericks fans, so we're not pissed.
I just remember, this is the first finals I watched, and even then I could tell, like, this dude was balling out and he was something special.
Yeah. I mean, you can make a strong argument that just winning this championship alone puts Wade above Harden.
Yeah, you could.
He did something hard.
I mean, for me, it was the craziest thing I've seen in an NBA Finals from one player since Michael Jordan retired. Well, since 98.
To this day, still has never done. We'll see if he does it this year. Probably not, but we'll see. And for the next couple years, Wade remained among the best players in the NBA, but injuries to both him and Shaq really prevented Miami from getting back to contention. He played in exactly 51 games in both 2007 and 2008 as he was dealing with some shoulder and knee injuries. Still as great, was an all-star both seasons, but the Heat were swept by the Bulls in the first round of 2007 playoffs, and they missed the playoffs entirely, winning only 15 games in 2008. Honestly, looking back at that 2008 Heat team, I don't know how they were so shit, because like I get, you know, Shaq was kind of on his last legs, but he would go on to have productive seasons in Phoenix, and Wade was still an all-star, and yet there's like a point during the season where they're like 1-40 over their last like 41 games or something like that. It's like, okay, you're worse than like the Pacers are this year, right? Or the Kings are this year, led by Zach LaVine, right?
Yeah, honestly, I don't really get it, but the next year, Wade responds, has arguably his best season, at least it was his best regular season of his career, averages over 30 points a night, wins the scoring title, 7.5 assists and 5 rebounds, finishes 3rd in MVP voting, and I know some people think he should have won it. I don't agree. I mean, you have LeBron.
I was gonna say, you're gonna pull it away from LeBron, who just led the Cavs to 66 wins with his second best player being Mo Williams.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think LeBron deserved it, but some people thought...
I forget, 66 wins. So that was the year they went to the finals against San Antonio, right? 66 wins. That's a lot of wins.
Wade should have had it, but the Heat once again were first round exits to the Hawks as Wade basically had no help. And in 2010, I mean, he was still great. Made all NBA first team, but you're a first round exit again, this time to the Celtics. Yeah. And after that, the Heat formed their super team. Wade, for the start of the Heatles era, remained one of the best players in the NBA. At moments, even looked like the first option on the team over LeBron.
He didn't look like it. He was the first option that first year until he conceded it to LeBron. And then everything changed.
Especially those first 2 years.
That 2011 finals, he is the only reason the Heat were in that series.
Yeah, was by far the best player for the Heat.
And let's be real. If they would have won that series against Dallas, he was the clear leader for finals MVP. By far. It was definitely not LeBron. And it wasn't Chris Bosh, you guys. It was D Wade.
Talked about it even recently in our last video, that Game 6 performance in Indiana in the 2012 Eastern Conference Semis completely took over that game. As we mentioned in our Heatles retrospective, the Heat win 2 titles, make the finals for 4 straight seasons, but at the second half of this run, Wade really started to show his age. I mean, he was still a really good player, was still an all-star, made his last All-NBA team in 2013, but I mean, he just didn't have the same burst, wasn't quite the same player, picked up injuries. Yep. And for a guy that really relied on his quickness, getting to the basket, you know, that hampered his game to an extent.
Yeah. He gave his body to the team right from his rookie year. And yeah, that plagued him the second half of his career. But by the time he got there, he got 3 championships already. So I'd say it's worth it what he did. Might have had less years where he was elite, but he capitalized on those years where he could be elite, you know, and he became a 3-time champion because of it. I respect that more than, you know, I respect a guy who played 15 years and racked up some championships, but gave his body to the game way more than someone who's going to play like 23 years and never did that and won less in all that time. By far, I appreciate somebody like this way more. A la Larry Bird as well, Michael Jordan as well.
Injuries, you know, little minor injuries, especially like your knees and whatnot, and your ankles. Mm-hmm. That'll hurt the game of a guy nicknamed Flash.
Exactly. And after LeBron left to go back home to Cleveland 2014, you pair that with Chris Bosh having to retire due to blood clots. The Heat never got past the second round again with Wade.
I mean, they might have in 2016 if Kyle Lowry didn't hit like a half-court shot in, what was it, game 2, I think?
Yeah, to save the Raptors.
I've said it before. So pissed the Raptors won that series because we were going to get Wade versus LeBron in the conference finals. Would have been the only time in their careers they ever played against each other in the playoffs, and yet we had to watch the Raptors get curb stomped by the Cavs again. But after the 2016 season, he signs with the Bulls, has a solid season, averages a little over 18 points per game as the second option next to Jimmy Butler. Bulls were a first-round exit in round 1 after going up 2-0 on the Celtics in that series, lest we forget. But after that, he reunites with LeBron, this time in Cleveland, but at this point, he's basically, you know, a bench guy. He's even traded back to Miami midway through that season, ends up finishing his career there.
But what we heard from Dwyane Wade was there's a reason why he went back, and that's because LeBron didn't tell him that he was ditching. LeBron was just trying to get help, you know, like he always is. So he took his best buddy, supposedly, and asked him to go help him. You know, let's team up in Cleveland. But then when he caught wind elsewhere that LeBron was planning on leaving Cleveland, they didn't know if it was going to be the Lakers, but they knew LeBron was leaving at the end of this year. He's about to abandon ship again. That's where Dwyane Wade was like, this ain't what I was promised. That's not what we talked about. So might as well, let's go back home.
Next season and a half. So overall, the big case for Wade, I mean, the dude showed up in the playoffs. I mean, you can make an argument he actually, you know, elevated his game in the playoffs, which is something that very few players actually do.
Always did.
Along with that, he was an elite two-way player.
Yeah, the great ones always step it up in the playoffs. And then the fake ones, the bad actors, they're the ones who are playoff chokers.
In his prime.
I'm sorry. I consider James Harden to be in this category. So I won't. He's going to retire, and I'm not going to say he was one of the greatest. I mean, that's just how it is. I'm not going to say he was one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I don't believe he was. Or I don't believe he is. I've never believed in him. I never will believe in him. He's never given me a reason to. He never steps up when it's time to step up. He's not a leader.
His third in Defensive Player of the Year voting in 2009, had 3 all-defensive second-team appearances, is probably the best small guard shot blocker of all time. He's got a lot of really iconic blocks in his career.
Yeah, I think statistically he is the best, like, small
I mean, this is like a video game block right here. Hold on.
Iconic blocks in his
Look at
career.
that.
Yeah, I think statistically he is the best, like, small guard blocker ever, like, by the numbers. Also the case for Wade. I mean, 3 titles.
Yeah.
Finals MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of goes with what you were saying about raising your game come playoff time. And it helped to play with Shaq. It helped to play with fucking prime LeBron, Chris Bosh.
It did.
He had a lot going for him.
I know, but James Harden played with, oh man, the list is too long to list. You all know who James Harden has played with and continues to play with great players. I don't want to, I'll be out of breath if I list all the players.
Still, he came up big when it mattered. That 06 finals is so iconic. It's one of the best finals performances ever.
We got a video on it.
We got a complete video on it. If you
I think I
want
reacted
more
to it.
details about it, I'll never forget that series. Like I said, first ever finals.
I think I reacted to that exact video and I took so much heat from you guys. And I mean, I get it. Because, you know, I was advocating this one of the greatest finals performances I've ever seen from an individual player. And you guys were all mad about the free throws. And I understand. I do. I think we're both right. I really do. Because you take away the free throws, and I still think it was one of the greatest finals performances I've ever seen. But with the free throws, now we have 2 sides of the coin here. We have to fight a little. I get it.
Watch, and he absolutely balled out.
I'll never remember that series because I didn't watch it live.
Oh man, I did. I was
that's the case
blown
for-
away watching that live. Okay, I was having Michael Jordan flashbacks. Like, oh my god. Like, I hate to keep the joke on going. I was having 93 finals flashbacks. Like, no matter what, no one is stopping this dude. He refuses to say quit.
Wade, now let's talk about Harden.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So first we'll acknowledge we got a couple videos that have already broken down Harden's career, so sorry for being repetitive, but you know, be respectful of him, be fair in a debate setting. We're gonna give you a refresher. Harden's drafted 3rd overall by the Thunder in 2009. Pretty good class in its own right. I mean, Steph, Blake Griffin, Drew Holiday, DeMar DeRozan, Hasheem Thabit, legends, all of them. And the year Harden arrived in Oklahoma City was the year they had their big breakout. Now that had a lot to do with Kevin Durant averaging 30 points a game and finishing 2nd in MVP voting as an 8 seed. But Harden did his thing. He averaged 10 points per game off the bench. Thunder ultimately lose to the Lakers in the first round, but played the defending champions to a tough 6-game series and kind of announced themselves as like a future, contender this season. I think this was a team that everyone looked at and was just like, this team gonna be a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe
we all
even
did.
next year they're gonna be a problem.
And honestly, they were a problem. The next year won 55 games, Harden up to scoring to just over 12 points a night, and they made it all the way to the conference finals that year before falling to the Mavericks. And finally, in 2012, Harden has his breakout season. Went from a nice young player off the bench the previous 2 years to averaging almost 17 points a night, wins 6th Man of the Year, looks like a future all-star and maybe even a guy with superstar potential. The Thunder would make it all the way to the finals. Coincidentally enough, they lose to Wade and the Heat in 5
A
games.
series that Harden did not play very good in.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, he was still super
It's
young.
going to be an ongoing thing you're going to hear throughout this breakdown of he gets really far and then he's not playing his greatest series of ever. Oh man, I really like this Thunder team in the beginning though, I got to say. I was a really big fan of all 3 of these guys.
But 100%, he did not play good that series. And then following that season, he shockingly traded to the Rockets. I mean, I've said it in past videos. I think probably the best thing that could have happened to him on an individual level.
Yeah.
Sure, he could have won a ring or multiple rings with the Thunder, but
I mean, isn't that more whatever? Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm getting old. I thought that was the point of the game. I thought we showed up. We worked so hard so we can win. I didn't know it was just so I can win a scoring championship on a team and not win. I didn't know that's the point of all this.
from 6th Man of the Year to one of the best players in the league, and he was legit a superstar immediately for the Rockets. Had that incredible debut game.
Now let me admit though, he actually blew my mind how well he played in Houston. I didn't know he had that in him, but still, you know, I was kind of on the side of Kobe, which was like, he's never going to win playing this kind of hero ball. You know, there's no way in hell. Nobody ever wins playing hero ball without something else, you know? Dwyane Wade played some hero ball in 06 in the finals. However, he had an anchor. He had Shaq. You know what I mean? He had Shaq. He had Alonzo coming off the bench, hustling and doing things. You know what I mean? But like with Harden and the Rockets, it was either that three ball is going to fall or else it's over. You're going to get your asses kicked. And you live by the three, you die by the three. It was a one-trick pony. That one trick was so good, it got them that far. That's what is surprising to me.
Remained an issue for Harden, though. I mean, he was okay in 2013, put against his former team, the Thunder, put up 26 points per game, but on under 40% shooting. Following off season, the Rockets add Dwight Howard, so Harden now has a co-star there in Houston. Yeah. And he follows up a really good 2013 regular season with a fantastic 2014 regular season, finishes 5th in MVP voting, makes All-NBA first team, but once again in the playoffs, he wasn't really good. Yep. Puts up decent points, but shot under 38% against the Blazers. I mean, I know Wesley Matthews could shut people down,
he
but
could not like
to that extent.
No, not like that. He had one good game that series, game 6, where he shot like what 60%, scored 34.
That's right. Yeah, kept a minute.
Game 3, he had like 37, I think, but it took him like damn near 40 shots to get it. So, you know, yeah. Again, Wesley and Nick Batum, solid defenders for their era,
right.
But I guess
so. This is why to this day he always has good regular seasons. I mean, for those of you who've been subscribed long enough, you guys know I have the same tone every year because there's always going to be a handful of people who get super excited and they forget of James Harden's history. So every year he has a great regular season. And every year I hear people saying, what do you think about James Harden? It looks like, you know, this might be it for him. This might be the year. And I'm like, guys, every single season he's kicking ass. It's not about skill. It's about pressure. It's about mindset. He can't handle the pressure of the big games because all eyes are on him. You know what I mean? So he's great at being the guy when it comes to inconsequential games. But when there's a lot of weight on a particular game, he's not the guy to rise up, unfortunately.
James Harden. Harden should be able to do a lot better than that.
The 2015 season, though, he once again elevated his game to another level, averages 27.5 points per game, 7 assists, nearly 6 rebounds, finishes 2nd in MVP voting, only behind Steph. Remember, at the time, I thought he should have won it, but in hindsight, Steph definitely deserved it.
In hindsight, you were wrong.
I was 100% wrong. On top of that, he also had a much better playoffs this year, helped lead the Rockets all the way to the conference finals before falling to the eventual champion Warriors. In 2016, Harden was just as good and maybe even better, averaging 29 points per night and 7.5 assists, but Dwight, dealing with injuries, had started to decline, so the Rockets win just 41 games and were first-round exits once again to the Warriors. But that offseason, they hire Mike D'Antoni to be their next head coach, and he was able to unlock Harden's passing ability to the point Harden led the league in assists the following season. I mean, he was a good facilitator.
Once again, point guard. He's a point guard. He played point guard
previous years, but to become one of the best passers in the NBA while also averaging 29 points again and leading the Rockets
where was the foul?
In the NBA while also averaging 29.
What? Okay, that's a foul apparently.
Again, and leading the Rockets to 55 wins without having another all-star on the roster. It was super impressive.
Yeah, it was.
Once again, finishes 2nd in MVP voting. And in the playoffs, I mean, in the first round, he was great. Against the Thunder, averaged 33 points a night, took OKC down in 5 games. But in round 2, you know, he was inconsistent to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, he gets his shot stuffed by Manu Ginobili of all people in game 5, right? And then game 6, an all-time clunker at home.
Yeah.
Against a Spurs team without Kawhi Leonard, without the best perimeter defender they have, and one of their best offensive players at this point too, and you shoot 2 of 10, you lose by 39 points at home.
I think it was 2 of 11, actually.
Was it?
Yeah. Guys, the great ones improved their averages in the playoffs. The fake ones do stuff like this. Yeah. So I don't care if you average 35 a game in a regular season. I care about what you're doing when there's pressure. 10 points, 6 turnovers, total net negative for your team then.
2 of 11?
I think so.
That's even worse. Also not very, again, how the do you lose to the Spurs by nearly 40 at home when they don't have their best player? I know the Spurs are good at adapting. They're good at playing without some of their key guys and whatnot. Very famously, there's that one game in Miami where they sat basically their entire starting lineup against the Heatles and nearly won. But you're at home. How you lose by 40? You can't lose by 15? You have to lose by 40?
Yeah.
Rockets then add Chris Paul over the offseason to get Harden some more help, and this time Houston improves by 10 wins, going 65-17, best record in the league. Harden finally gets his MVP, averaging 30.5 points per game, a little under 9 assists per game, and 5.5 rebounds. Even though they added Chris Paul, that was the big thing going into the season. It's just like, how these guys gonna, work together. There's only one basketball. They both need it.
Why is that a thing, you guys? Why is that a thing? Is it because they're both point guards? I'm waiting. It's been 17 minutes into the video. I'm waiting for one guy to bring this up. One guy. Because I feel like this is like the end of the entire thing that Beverly brought up. Like, and I'm dumbfounded why no one just shut down the conversation being like, well, you're comparing a point guard with a shooting guard. So what's the next topic?
Thrived with CP3 though. He was still the only all-star in his team. A little weird that Chris Paul didn't make the all-star team this year. I mean, second best player on a team that won 65 games and can't make the all-star team? Okay. Maybe this was one of those years Dame got it because he was just bitching and moaning about how he's sick of this.
Hey, Dame definitely deserved.
I'm sure he did. Yeah, I know he did.
I mean, it's like Steph, Clay, Dame, Russ, Harden. It's that time in the Western Conference.
Clay Thompson too.
Yeah, I think I said Clay, but point still stands.
Yeah. In the playoffs, Houston beats both Minnesota and Utah with Harden playing pretty well in both series. And again, he was pretty good against the Warriors in the conference finals. And if Chris Paul doesn't get injured, I mean, they probably beat the Warriors. I tend to lean that direction.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to lean that direction, but this is our timeline. Don't have the time stone to go back and change things or the quantum realm to go back and change things. Right. Rockets fall in 7 games, and then in 2019, Harden has like probably the best NBA scoring season since like, mid 2000s Kobe Bryant.
For
averages, 36 points a game. Third time in his career he finishes second in MVP voting. But the Rockets do regress down from 65 wins to 53 wins. Harden is once again solid in the playoffs, but the Warriors beat them for the 4th time in 5 seasons. CP3 is then off to Oklahoma City for Russ. Harden, once again, incredible numbers, basically 34.5 points per game, 7.5 assists, All-NBA first team for the 6th time in his career. And then playoffs in the bubble, again, he's pretty good, but the Lakers, again, make short work of them in the second round. So after all that, it's time to deploy the fat suit because he wants out of Houston, goes to the Nets, is playing great basketball.
So just to recap, at this point, he's been to the NBA Finals once. And that was his 2nd season. Was it his 2nd or 3rd season? It was with OKC, obviously. But like he's never quite gotten there again.
MVP discussions in Brooklyn, but then there's the hamstring injury in the second round of the playoffs. He was basically playing on one leg. And
real quick, a rarity. Big time shout out for Harden, because when he was playing with Brooklyn in the playoffs and he pulled his hammy, he did try to play. He tried to play through the pain. I'll give him some props.
Again, after that, he's on the move again. After that.
Yep, goes to 76ers. And at this point, the hamstring injury was still lingering. Just wasn't one of the best players in the NBA anymore. He was still remained a very effective player, an all-star level player. But the problem is the playoff choking was still there. I mean, in 2022, he just wasn't good in the playoffs.
I'm glad he finally said it. Playoff choking, Harden. Yes.
He goes out in round 2 to the Heat. And then in 2023, he also wasn't very good. I mean,
and he had the MVP with him, too.
That series against the Celtics, one of the most hot and cold series you'll ever see.
He was bipolar in this series.
Oh man, I watched this series too. This was disgusting. This was a disgusting display. And not like I'm saying, oh, terrible. I mean, James Harden. Wow. Like if there was any time, and I remember I was invested in this one, because a lot of people I knew were like, no, man, James Harden just didn't have the right team. Now he's got the right team with him. He's good in Philly. And I'm like, just wait for the damn playoffs. And then in the playoffs, another epic collapse.
It was weird.
It was crazy. He had some games where he balled out and then other games
it was like every other day. Yeah. It was like DeAndre dominating. It was just like him. One day I'll produce, the next day I fall apart. You're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs like that. You got to be consistent.
Complete stinkers. 76ers
3 for 11, 5 turnovers. Great.
In 7 games. Then he goes to the Clippers, where, to be fair, he remained a very good player.
This is where he came in and he said, I am the system. And I was laughing. I think I might have made a video on it or something like that back then. I'd have to go back and check the archives. But, man, it's just like, this is great. Yeah. You have never won anything, and you're going into your new team saying, I am the system. What the hell? You haven't proved shit.
Even after approaching his mid-30s, I mean, particularly last year, averaging nearly 23 points a night, nearly 9 assists, makes an all-star team again for the first time since 2021.
I mean, he's a very good shooter, you know, a very good offensive basketball player. That's where I draw the line. He's just very good.
Even finishes all NBA third team at age 35, and this season he's continued to play really well, averaging just under 24 points a night and 8 assists. Obviously, he was traded to the Cavs before the deadline, so gives him a better chance to compete. Maybe he could possibly finally win that ring. The rumor is he's going to opt out of his player option this offseason, re-sign a 2-year deal with the Cavs. I think the biggest argument for Harden is the longevity. Like, the joke I've seen going around on NBA Twitter is, you know, Wade at age 36 was out here being traded for a second-round pick, while Harden at age 36 is arguably still like an all-star level player, and it feels like he's got some quality seasons still left in the tank.
Yeah, but screw the longevity. At this point in his career, Dwyane Wade already proved himself 3 times and won 3 championships. James Harden, at this stage of his longevity, injected career, is still looking for his first championship. I don't understand. I don't understand it. I feel like we knew the difference before. I'm trying to think of a shooting guard in Jordan's era that never won a championship that did really, really good. I got a better one. Should we compare Gilbert Arenas and Kobe Bryant? You know, a guy who won multiple times on the biggest stage against, you know, a guy who just played pretty good in the regular season a bunch of times, you know, and never quite got it done in the playoffs. Should we compare that? I don't think there's any comparison here.
And besides that, Harden was just the better offensive player, especially that peak from 2015 to 2020. 3 straight scoring titles, had that insane 36 points per game season in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, during this era, he was one of the best.
The only thing he does better than Dwyane Wade on offense, in my opinion, is 3-point shooting. That's the only thing. Everything else, Dwyane Wade gets it, in my opinion.
Offensive players of all time.
Exactly. Won MVP, finished second MVP 3 times during this stretch. I mean, the playoff choking is there. If you want to be nice, you can call it playoff inconsistency.
How is that not more important? Once again, I'm going to stop. No, I'm not. I can't stop. This video is going to kill me. Jesus Christ. The playoff choking is not a side note. You know, it's not just like, yeah, but that happened. But it doesn't matter. Let's talk about the numbers of what he did in the regular season. Regular season doesn't mean jack. It doesn't mean jack. It's a warm up for the playoffs. I want to see the playoff numbers. You see the playoff numbers and how he collapses? He would not be considered an MVP any of these seasons. He wouldn't be all NBA any of these seasons if you just took his playoff performances alone. And that's all that matters in a season, is what happens in those playoffs.
That's being generous, man.
But I will say, you know, as a guy that's
don't get me wrong, it's not synthetic sports. I'm not mad at synthetic. I love these guys. Actually, I've been watching this channel for a while. I'm irritated and aggravated at this topic. I think this is a dumb topic, and it ain't just synthetic. It's everybody. And now look, I'm in on it too. So I'm just as much of an asshole as anybody else.
In the past, he ran into the greatest team in NBA history 4 times in a 5-year stretch. Like, he didn't play in the Eastern Conference.
Dude, he ran into the Dynasty Bulls
for much of Wade's career. He played with some great players in his career, but if you just look at that prime era with the Rockets, like, he played with Chris Paul, an older Chris Paul. He played with Russ past his prime, and he played with Dwight slightly past his prime. He didn't play with fucking Shaq, who was still an MVP candidate, and he didn't play with LeBron, you know, in my opinion.
Shaq was past his prime here. Yeah, he did still play good for Miami, but he was not in his prime at all. I would say that ended around 03.
who was still an MVP candidate, and he didn't play with LeBron, in my opinion, the GOAT. So there are some things there. So that's Harden's career, the arguments for him. So let's compare each guy directly and finally give our picks for who was better.
Let's do it.
So comparing each guy against each other one-on-one, I mean, we're starting on the offensive end. It's Harden. I mean, as great of an offensive player as Wade was, Harden is one of the best offensive players in the history of the NBA. I mean, you can make an argument he's the best scorer since like Kobe. You can argue it's like him and Kevin Durant really in like the last 10 years as just pure scorers, right? It's probably those two. He also became one of the best passers of all time. Again, Wade was great on the offensive end. Newer fans may not remember, just how good he was on offense, especially when he was, young in his prime. That 2009 season, he was incredible.
He had 10 explosive years, kind of like Larry Bird or Magic Johnson.
I mean, offensively, you got to give it to Harden. Conversely, on the defensive end, it's a crater between them. It's Wade, and it's not even close. I mean, better on-ball perimeter defender, much better interior defender. Again, best shot blocking guard of all time.
Thank you, SxADk. Whew, I was starting to get worried.
And Harden has gotten better on defense, and he's so smart. He's got great instincts for the game that he's always able to pick up, a couple of steals here and there.
Right.
But if you weren't around for 2012 to 2015, NBA basketball, there were compilations on YouTube of Harden, not even being a bad defender, just not even playing defense. Guys
he literally stands around as much as old LeBron James does. And we're talking way before Harden was old.
Right at him, and he would just stand there and just very meekly stick his arm out, and just guys would just go straight past him. There's a great one where there's a fast break. I can't remember who it's against, but
he's just standing
the other
there.
team's on a fast break, and Harden literally stops.
Yeah, who's he pointing at?
Doesn't play defense.
Well, who are you pointing at?
Yells.
Yeah, who are you yelling at here? You're the last line of defense here.
Teammates and lets the offensive player go right past him for a dunk, right? That's how bad it got for James Harden on defense early in his career.
Yeah, so Wade easily on defense wins it. Next, we're going to talk about clutch factor /
And if we're going to just take that category right there, that offense-defense thing, I think that the fairest approach is to say James Harden, great on offense. James Harden, abysmal, terrible on defense. Dwyane Wade, very good. I'll concede and give him one notch below James Harden on offense. A very good offensive player, and then great defensive player. I think Dwyane Wade wins that argument, because he's right there at great or extremely good at both categories. Well, one is just good at one and terrible at the other.
Performances, again, wins it. Next, we're going to talk about clutch factor / playoff performances.
Dwyane Wade, next topic.
Again, Wade wins big time here.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, you can make an argument Wade not only was great in the playoffs, but actually elevated his game come playoff time. I mean, that finals performance in 2006, as we said, one of the best finals performances of all time, had so many other countless big games in the playoffs, was extremely clutch. One of the clutchest players I've seen play basketball.
One of the clutches of his generation, for sure.
Absolutely.
And being a fan of his during his prime, every single time the game was on the line and we had a couple seconds left, he has the ball. It was like Tom Brady making a last minute drive with literally a minute on the clock. It was like, I think he's about to do it again, and he'd freaking deliver, man.
The other hand, did not elevate his game come playoff time, oftentimes was much worse in the playoffs. And Harden, I wouldn't necessarily think of as a clutch guy. Now, to be fair, he's had some clutch moments.
Yeah, he's got some game winners. The one against the Warriors is one of the best game winners.
Yeah, one of my favorite of all time.
He needed to be the clutch guy, too, because he was the one shooting all the time.
Realistically, if you asked NBA fans, over the past 10 years, name the top 10 most clutch guys in the league, I don't think Harden makes the top 10.
No, I don't think so.
He might not even
How
make
could
top
he be in the He's a choker. You guys are admitting that he chokes in the playoffs. I think he even used those words. He's a playoff choker. How could a playoff choker be in the top 10 of most clutch players? Does not know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's around there. He's definitely had a lot of game winners, a lot of clutch moments, but just not to the extent of Wade. So once again, Wade takes that one easily. And
clutch players don't choke. Clutch players miss shots. Sometimes they miss big shots, but they don't choke. It goes against the whole idea of being clutch.
Accolades, I was struggling on this, but ultimately we had to give it to Wade. I mean, it's the rings.
Yeah.
He could whip out the rings on his
Three
finger.
rings and a finals MVP. That's not even a conversation.
And yeah.
And Harden's got the MVP, which matters a lot, but Wade's also got the finals MVP to counter that
matters
as well.
more.
Wade's got 2 gold medals too. I mean, Harden also does have more All-NBA first teams, 6 compared to Wade's 2. Wade, though, weirdly enough, has more All-Stars, even if you take out, his Mickey Mouse.
The Mickey Mouse one that I hate on.
Oh, I like it, honestly.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine that the NBA did that, but it also kind of ruins some of these all-time discussions. I don't want to say ruin, but it makes it like he's got 12 All-Star
cheapens
appearances.
it a little bit.
Yeah.
But either way, again, if you take it out, he still has more than Harden.
True.
Has 3 all-defensive teams.
Good
to Harden's.
God. Yeah, what I said a bit ago is like a video game. Like this is like some NBA Street, like what I've been playing. Like this is a crazy freaking full wind back swat. Get out. That's volleyball, man. That's not even basketball anymore.
Zip. Yeah. Harden should have negative defensive teams if they were allowed to
Agreed.
assign them. And of course, you mentioned, the rings. It's to Wade, and yeah, it's not close. It's
All right, so far, yeah, Dwyane Wade's destroying James Harden so far in this conversation.
Final category we'll look at, longevity. Again, Harden wins this one in a landslide. Like you said, Wade was, honorary all-star with Dirk, last year of his career, basically, and Harden is still like an actual all-star. So, Harden's
longevity, sure, yeah, I give it to him.
Longevity pretty easily. All that being said, I'm a bit of a Harden hater, so some people might expect me to go, Wade in a landslide. I go Wade closer than I think people might expect.
Okay.
My problem with Harden is twofold. Number one, it's the playoff performances. Like, not only was he worse in the playoffs than he was in the regular season, that's a lot of players, right? A lot of players' numbers take slight dips in the playoffs.
I mean, Damian Lillard.
Dames do. Yeah, they do. But Harden, for the most part, was significantly worse in the playoffs. And if you think about James Harden's career, what's the best playoff moment of his career?
I mean, especially if you don't count the early Thunder era, off the top of my head, I mean, it's probably the game 1 against the Celtics.
That's what I was going to say.
Game 1. Wow. Your greatest playoff moment was a game 1 that didn't matter. I mean, it matters, but you know what I mean. That's bad.
Hey,
yeah.
I mean, it's a great game. It's a great moment, but for that to be the best of your career
in a second round series that you lost.
Yeah, exactly. That holds him back in that sense. And the second thing that holds him back is I would be more willing to give this to Harden if he had had an early career run or even a full career run like Dame did in Portland or LeBron's first run in Cleveland, where it was just him for the most part by himself and he never really had any help and he was still doing all these incredible things, right? I mean, early in his career in Houston, he had Dwight. I know his back was starting to go a little bit, but for those first 2 seasons, Dwight was still the best center in the NBA, I would say. After that, they swap him out for Chris Paul, one of the best point guards in the world, and a guy that everyone kind of thought was done after he left Houston, and he led Oklahoma City to the playoffs and then had that amazing run with Phoenix, right? They swap him out. They bring in Russ, who, yes, he was a little bit past his best too, but he still averaged like 27 points, 7 boards.
Past his best. After he left his team, he ended up averaging a triple-double 2 years in a row, right?
It was great for them. And then he leaves, Houston, and then he goes to Brooklyn, and he's got Kevin Durant, and he's got Kyrie. He leaves them. He goes to Philly. Now he's got Embiid. He leaves them. He goes to the Clippers. He's got Kawhi and Paul George. Now he's in Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell. Like,
how much help does a guy need? And not only he's played with all these great players, but he's played with all these different structured teams to see what happens when we plug a James Harden into this type of team. What about this type of team? And it just never pans out. I wonder what the common denominator is.
Has a very long list of really, really good teammates. And I think when you have a list of players that you've played with that's that good, and you only have 2 conference finals appearances and no NBA finals appearances as the best player on your team, again, I know he ran into the Warriors and that's fair, but I feel like you should have done a little bit more with what you were given. Again, if you had LeBron's supporting cast his first 7 years at Cleveland where it's you and nobody else, I'm much more lenient on you. He had a lot of really good players throughout his career and a lot of good supporting casts and a lot of good coaches.
Yeah, I go Wade as well.
I mean, before I forget, he basically took the same career path as, when it comes to ring chasing, as Kevin Durant and LeBron James. KD's got 2 championships, LeBron's got 4. Harden's got 0, okay? And you guys know I don't take these 4 and 2 very seriously because, they had to ring chase in order to get him. But now we're talking Harden, who did the ring chasing and still ended up with 0 and is still chasing to this day. What are we talking about?
Because of that early stint with the Heat, from whatever you want to say, 05 to 09, or you can even extend it maybe to 2011, 2012 at the very most. He was so good, and I think he was just as good as peak Harden, but his game also translated to the playoffs. I think
you guys are crazy. We were comparing him to Kobe. Like, literally, we were trying to figure out for about 2 to 3 years who's the better shooting guard in the NBA, him or Kobe. Now, Kobe ended up obviously shutting everybody up, and Dwyane Wade, his peak did not last nearly as long as we were hoping for because of injuries. But there was a window there that was the conversation. Who's the better shooting guard? Is it Kobe or is it Wade? And it's real. Forget Harden.
Finals alone kind of does it for Wade. And like I said earlier, you do got to factor in Wade did play with Shaq. Wasn't Lakers Shaq.
He had Dwight Howard, Harden.
Very good version of Shaq. Also, prime LeBron, best player in the world by far. LeBron.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. That's a pretty good teammate to have.
And I mostly agree that Harden had great teammates. Especially later in his career. With the Nets, with the Embiid, with recently Kawhi, Paul George.
I mean, that's crazy. I think his entire career he's been surrounded by great players. He was drafted into a team with great players with OKC. He's got 2 Hall of Famers right there on his starting lineup. And then he played, like you said, you got Dwight Howard, you got Chris Paul, you got Russ again, and then you team up with Kevin Durant again and Kyrie Irving. I mean, I can't keep track of him because he leaves every couple years. And then Philly, he plays with he's got Maxey on the team, and he's also got the MVP Embiid on his team. Still can't get it done. I'm exhausted talking about his teams. And there's still 2 more teams to go. You got the Clippers and now the Cavs. He's been surrounded by greatness his entire career. He can't get it done.
Do kind of counter on that Rockets. I mean, Dwight was the best center in the league in the worst center era in NBA history. Who was second? Fucking DeAndre Jordan? Probably Marc Gasol, but still. And even then, you could argue Marc Gasol might have been better around then. And then Chris Paul, Chris Paul didn't make an all-star team in 2018. Chris Paul was good, but Chris Paul was nowhere near a top 10 player at that point. Brody always puts up great numbers, but it's still Brody. It wasn't going to be a fit. And he ran into the best team of all time.
That's true.
I didn't know he was playing against the Bulls.
4 seasons in 5 years. That is just incredible.
Yeah, so he definitely wins in longevity, because if Harden was playing all the way back in the 90s against the Jordan Bulls, that's incredible how long he's lasted. Obvious sarcasm here.
Pushed them pretty damn hard, especially in 2018, even years like 2019. They played them tough, so that's the only thing I'd count with Harden. And the last thing I'll say with Harden, the story is not closed yet.
Oh my God.
If Harden can win a chip, if he somehow won a Finals MVP, say he just turns back the clock, goes off for the Cavs.
The murmurs have been happening this season too. I don't know if you guys are aware, but he went to the Cavs and then they started doing good. He started playing good, blah, 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 blah. And people started saying, maybe this is it. This is the right fit for him. And I'm just sitting here laughing again, going, it's not going to happen. Just wait for the playoffs. Guys, bottom line, if he leads Cleveland to a championship this year and he's balling out, I will be the most shocked person on YouTube. And I will be the very first to make a YouTube video to say I was wrong. I have the utmost confidence James Harden is not about to win a championship. All right? But if he does, I'll gladly eat my words.
What? He's never played well in the playoffs
for like 10 years in a row. So I like my odds, man. I like my betting odds.
turning back the clock made for him.
Opens up the clock and, tinkers in there a little bit, whips out the screwdriver, makes a couple adjustments.
Takes some Balco.
The clock.
Yes. If he did that, won a finals MVP, won a ring, I think this discussion gets a lot closer. And if he somehow did that, it, he's not going to.
Yeah.
I'll put him above Wade.
If he does that, I'll also eat my own shirt.
Me too.
Okay, I'm holding you to that. Everyone remember that in the comments, but for now it's Wade. Harden's the 4th best shooting guard ever, but it's gotten closer over the years. But
I still think he's a shooting guard.
Dwyane fucking Wade.
Guys, is he even a shooting guard? By the way, that was a fun video. That was a really cool video. I still go back to the original question that they started with and they ended with. Shooting guard. I don't know. Whatever. It's not that important. Either way, my pick is Wade any day of the freaking week. Dude, there's so many players I would pick over James Harden. If we're talking point guards, you got like Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, John Stockton, Mark Price. Like there's so many guys I would put ahead of him. Tony Parker, Steve Nash, And then even with shooting guards, though, I gotta be real. I got Allen Iverson above James Harden by far. And just talking about shooting guards here, I got Jerry West, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these dudes ahead of him. The thing is if what you're producing, if the numbers that you are producing never lead to victory, I don't take the numbers too seriously. It's the people who win that you look at their numbers and you go, damn. That's why I still quote 41 PPG, 1993 finals. Never seen anything like it. Never saw it again. Why? Because they won. Guess what? If the Bulls would have lost in 93, nobody would give a damn about Jordan scoring or averaging 41 a game. Who would care? That's not a flex anymore. That's like, well, the guy tried, but it just wasn't good enough. And then we're talking now about James Harden, who's a playoff choker. All we can do is recite regular season stats and say that he's one of the greatest of all time because of regular season stats. How is that greater than Jerry West? Who Jerry West went to the finals, 10 times? And yeah, he only won one of them. Yeah, big stain on his record. However, point me in a direction of the one time in the finals where he was the reason his team lost. I'd like you to do it. That's a challenge. Send it my way in a comment if you can find it. I don't think you're going to find it. And if you even find one, you're not going to find 10 of them. You're not going to find like 15 of them like we have examples of Harden. So once again, no comparison. But I think this is just some like weird recency bias. Like people are forgetting about all the great shooting guards of the past. But it is what it is, man. And they made a crack at it that like old heads are saying somebody like Clyde Drexler was better. Guess what? He was a lot better. And he was a lot better on defense as well. And he's also a freaking champion. So James Harden, maybe this is one of the better shooting guards, even though he's a point guard. Okay. That you guys have seen. But when you said the first finals you've ever seen was the 06 finals, that just shows you missed a lot of basketball. So maybe he's one of the best you've ever seen, but he's definitely not one of the best in history. And if that's the conversation we're having, who's the 3rd best shooting guard in history? It's neither. It was Jerry West. I'm out of here, you guys. Thank you for the suggestion to watch this one. I gotta admit, I'm a little mentally fatigued after this one, so I'm gonna take the After Dark off. Maybe I'll do a gaming video or something chill and fun. But I can't look at the time of this video until I hit stop, and it's probably nearing an hour. So I'm gonna go take a break. God, man. See, this is why I promised myself I wasn't going to talk about this topic, because I saw the topic is so stupid. So like, it's just funny. I backed out of my stance, because it was a member's request. But I guess I'm glad I'm talking about it, because out of everybody I'm hearing talking about this, no one is pointing out just how dumb this argument is. So I guess that's my job in the YouTube basketball community, is just to point out nonsense when I see it. And once again, this isn't targeted at one channel or another channel. If this is targeted at anybody, it's targeted at Pat Bev. Like, really, this is what you got. Like, this was the topic that you had that needed to be discussed, and it was this stupid. I'm out of here, you guys. Like the vid on the way out. If you could, subscribe if you want more content like this. Hit that bell if you want to get notified for the next one. And most importantly, is understand the difference between a point guard and a shooting guard, everybody. Just kidding. Be water, my friends.